Three, two. Hello there. Greetings and salutations, everyone. Welcome back to another exciting episode of our interview series that we have here at Neuroculture. I am your host, Ryan, and our special guest with us tonight is the owner of Spiral Rewind. Excuse me, that would be the one and only Chris Severn. Chris, how you doing tonight, my man?
How's it going? I'm doing all right.
All right. Thank you for being with us. We do
Yeah,
appreciate
no
it. And by the
problem.
way, as we go throughout the course of the show tonight, if you have questions for our guests, please leave them in the live chat in the comment section below. We will be monitoring it as we go throughout the course of the night, so feel free to do so. Other than that, we're going to jump right into this here, Chris. So, my first things first, every saga, every story, everything in life has a beginning, right? How were you introduced to the world of cinema?
Oh, to the world of cinema. Well,
Yeah,
that's a good question, but I have a pretty good story about how I got involved in cinema. So,
sure.
we lived across the street from a movie theater. It was a one screen movie theater, and we lived across the street. And the we were at home, and someone knocked on our door, and they introduced themselves as the lady who owned the movie theater across the street. And they asked my mom if she would watch the booth while she ran home. And she had to do some work at home, and she had to come back. So my mom ran across the street. She showed her how to work the booth, and the lady came back 3 days later, left my mom in charge of the movie theater for 3 days. And
Wow,
that
with
was
great
it.
with wow, with
And
great power comes great
yeah,
responsibility on that front.
yeah. So my mom ended up being one of the managers of the movie theater, and I grew up across the street and started popping popcorn there when I was, 8 years old or something like that, and that's how I got started in being involved in it, I guess.
Wow, that is amazing. So if you want to dive into it a little bit more, what were some of the movies you remember seeing in theaters growing up?
Well, I worked there, so I got to see a lot more, I think, than normal people. But the big ones that came through while I was working there were Home Alone, obviously, and believe it or not, Cheetah. Do you remember Cheetah from Disney? It was like a Free Willy kind of a movie, but it was about a cheetah. And
Sorry, doesn't come to
yeah,
mind.
when that came out, it was gigantic. It was huge. The place was packed for weeks to see that movie. Ghostbusters 2 came out while I was working there. The Addams Family came out while I was working there, and tons of other ones. But those are the ones I remember because we would do events. The lady who owned the place was really big on making it something to see, a spectacle. So, when we did Addams Family, she had people come dressed as the people from the Addams Family. She'd bring the news out and the papers and stuff out and really make a big spectacle of it. And so we always did that with the bigger movies like Ghostbusters 2 and Addams Family and Home Alone and stuff like that. So we always used to decorate the place up and have a good time with it.
Wow, that is amazing. That is amazing. So outside of the movie theater, what were some of whether it be movies or even TV series you remember watching growing up, whether it be on the TV screen itself or through
Yeah.
VHS means?
Yeah. So growing up, I loved Airwolf. I loved the television show Airwolf, and the A Team, of course. But you know, movie wise, I remember just loving Spaceballs, and you know, I'm trying to think of, like, I used to go to my grandfather's house a lot. And we would watch movies together, and one of the movies that we would watch all the time is a movie most people have never heard of, and it stars Arnold Schwarzenegger, Kirk Douglas, and Anne Margaret, and it's a western, and it's called The Villain.
Hmm.
And most people have never heard of it, but it's basically a live action Roadrunner cartoon, and like, there's literally a scene in the movie where they paint a hole on the side of a mountain, and Arnold Schwarzenegger drives through it with his coach, and then Kirk Douglas, as the bad guy, runs into it and smashes flat and falls down. But Hal Needham directed it, the stunt coordinator guy. He did like Cannonball Run and stuff like that, but he directed it, and I just grew up wanted to watch that movie all the time. I used to watch that movie every time I went there. I just thought it was hilarious. My
Oh
wife
my
can't
goodness.
stand it.
Right, right. Oh my goodness, yeah, I have not heard of this. I might have to do some digging and
Yeah.
see if I can watch it at some point, or even look it
Yep.
up some clips online or what
Yep.
have you. But my goodness gracious, that's boy, that's something that's as they say, that is something out of left field. So moving forward with all these things that you've seen, whether they be movies, TV series, all this good stuff that you had growing up, when it kind of comes to the next stage, what inspired you to create what is known today as Spiral Rewind?
Well, we were just kind of goofing around. Actually, I made up a couple of notebooks for a friend of mine for Christmas. He's a huge Star Trek fan, and so I made up the whole box set of movies I had. And so I cut them up, made notebooks out of them, gave them to him for Christmas, and he was like, "These are great. These are awesome." And so talked a little bit to my wife, and I was like, he really liked those. Maybe we give those out as Christmas presents to other people too. I have 3,000 movies. It's not like I'm wanting for covers to make them out of. And so I just started making them for friends to give away as Christmas presents. And then they called me up and they're like, "Hey, I want to give those away as Christmas presents. I want to give those away for a birthday. I want to, can I get some from you? I have ones. Can you make them for me and stuff?" So it just kind of escalated, actually really quickly, but it just kind of escalated into this thing that we were just making notebooks like crazy for people. And then we did a show. I'm trying to think what the first show we did. We just tried it out. Oh, it was the Philadelphia Comic Con, the one down in Oaks there.
Hmm.
A buddy of mine runs that, and so he said, "Hey, come on down and try it out." So we tried it out, and it was just like gangbusters, man. So we just kept going with it, and we just kept making it bigger and bigger and bigger. I have, over 8,000 covers on hand now. At any given time, it went from just using some videos out of my personal collection to buying storage houses full of old VHS tapes so we could have stock to make notebooks. So it just was one of those things that just kind of escalated. And then we trying to figure out, what to do with the rest of it, because the whole point of it was that, we were reusing the covers so that they were kind of getting recycled, upcycled. And we had thousands. I don't know if you know what 40,000 VHS tapes look like, but it's a lot. It's
A lot of
skids.
boxes.
It's skids and skids of VHS tapes, and we were trying to figure out what to do with the tapes. And so I didn't. The whole point was we were recycling, so I didn't want to just be throwing them away, and so we just started doing research and looking at what some other people were doing with them and stuff, and then we started making the lamps, and the lamps are, again, like, was one of those things where, like, we made one and people saw them and they're just like, "I need that, I need that, I need that." And so we just kept making those, and now we're making the puzzles out of the puzzles are themselves, but we put them in the clamshells from the old Disney tapes as the as the packaging. So we're trying to reuse as much of them as we can, and do that. We're trying to do that. I don't know how else to say it.
No, I got you. I got you. And more specifically, you were referring to a little bit earlier on the Great Philadelphia Comic Con
Yeah.
that's held in Oaks, Pennsylvania, as well as RetroCon, which would have been
Yep.
in September of this year, like it normally is. Unfortunately, due to the situation with the pandemic and everything being shut down and things having to be postponed, canceled, all that crazy stuff, it would have been and this is coming from experience. This is actually just a little peek behind the curtain for those of you watching us at home. This is how Chris and I met each other, was through RetroCon
Yeah.
in Oaks,
Yep.
Pennsylvania, which is a great event. It's a fantastic experience. Anyone who's ever had a chance to go there knows what I'm talking about. The vendors, the people who work behind the scenes to put these events together, bust their chops to make sure that
That's the
every attendee
truth.
that walks through the door has a positive experience. And one of the best things that I've experienced in my life is going to RetroCon. Granted, I've only been 1 year. I'm not a hardcore veteran like a lot of other people are, but you know what? I'll earn my stripes when the time comes. It's going to happen, because if I can buy as much stuff as I did last year, you can bet almost your bottom dollar that when come 2021, hopefully when Earth can safely reopen, we can get things back on its respectable track. We can go back to RetroCon and relive the glory days of the 80s and 90s specifically.
Yep.
Oh, believe me, we're going to love it to pieces. No puns
Yeah.
intended. So, kind of speaking with that in conventions, do you know, and you can ballpark this if you want, how many conventions or events have you been at a vendor at specifically?
Well, last year I think we did 23, I think, last year, and we were scheduled to do 36 this year,
Wow.
which is a lot. I
Hmm.
mean, that's a lot. It's almost every week if you think about it. It's two
Hmm.
thirds of the year.
Yeah.
But we were on schedule to do 36, 32 or 36. I can't remember now, but
Sure.
we did one so far. We did one a few weeks ago there's a drive-in right by us, the Mahoning Drive-in, and they're actually getting pretty big now with national coverage and stuff because they've been a retro drive-in forever. I mean, they show films on 35 millimeter and stuff, and
Wow.
and so they were doing it like before all of this happened, and they were gaining some notoriety and stuff, and then through this they actually are gigantic now. But so we do a lot of work with them. They have some of our stuff on their merch table. Like we make Mahoning drive-in lamps for them to sell at the thing specifically and stuff like that. And but so they had one a few weeks ago called VHS Fest, and that's a yearly event that they have. And so we go to that all the time, and it's just an awesome weekend. They show like movies you've never heard of, probably,
Hmm.
like Attack of the Killer Fridge and stuff. It's like all like direct to video stuff that, this year, I'm trying to remember what one of them, but they played like Truth or Dare this year and Chopping Mall and stuff like that. But it's just a great weekend, and everybody's just there to have a good time, and like everybody's walking around with, this year they had face masks on with, VHS tapes and cassettes and everything, and it's just a bunch of vendors were there. It was a really great weekend, and we're doing what'll end up probably being our last show of this year in a few weeks with them on Halloween. It's for Monster Mania. If
Oh,
you're familiar with
yes.
Monster Mania, well,
Yeah.
Monster Mania is doing a special show this year at the drive-in, and so they're gonna that Halloween weekend. Monster Mania is gonna be there. Bunch of guests are coming, and they're going to have a handful of vendors, and we're going to be one of the vendors there. So we'll do that weekend this year. But we do a lot of shows. It's the short
Yeah.
answer to that.
No, sure, sure, sure. Yeah, and speaking of Monster Mania, I go to the one that's held in Hunt Valley, Maryland.
Okay.
Every year, I try to go.
Yeah.
We've my friends and I at Neuroculture here at the channel. We've been going the last few years, and it's been a blast. And I've met some wonderful people, specifically celebrity guests, and a lot of the vendors there are great, very easy to talk to, easy to get along with. And when you buy stuff from them, and then you come back the next year and they see you, and in most cases the vendors will remember you from
Yeah.
previous years, and
Yep.
that's one of the great things about the communal experience of going to a convention or a special event such as Monster Mania. I'm glad you told me about Monster Mania because I'm gonna have to look into that, see what else is cooking
Yeah. Yep.
going on there.
Yeah.
But to kind of progress onto the next set of or the next question I have for you here,
Yeah.
and I know it's hard to pick favorites. I know it's very difficult to do so when you've been to so many shows, you've met so many people along the way. What have been some of your best experiences at a show or convention?
So, I do a lot of things that are, retro type
Hmm.
of things, and Spiral Rewind is the biggest one right now. But the second biggest one, I guess, is I'm also a musician. I do synth music and stuff like that. So I do some shows with that as well, where I'm performing at the shows and stuff instead of being set up. We usually are set up at the show too, but I'm more focused on being there as a performance artist. And but so I've done some shows there and different places and stuff, and it's just been really cool to connect with the fans of the music, and last year was great to just have people come up to me and say, I'm here because you're playing here. Like I didn't, they came to the show to enjoy the show and everything, but they weren't going to come. And then they saw that I was playing and they're like, I have to go now. Chris is playing, got to check it out, and that's been a really awesome thing to see. and be a part of and be involved with. And I love making that kind of music and just having a good time with it. It's just fun. And then the other side of it is with Spiral Rewind. I love RetroCon. RetroCon is hands down my favorite convention of the year. My kids come along, they have a good time. One of the other things I do with Spiral Rewind is I do paintings and things like VHS inspired paintings and stuff. And I think you saw those last year, probably. I think we had them last year, like in the background. You probably didn't look at them.
I saw them. They look really good, and you know what? It's different. It's different.
Yeah.
I'm not used to seeing that sort of stuff at conventions. So to see you do something like that is amazing.
Yeah, and so my kids started painting them too, and they come to the shows, they see people buying stuff, and they're like, "I'm going to paint stuff and I'm going to sell it," and it's like, okay, it's like hard to tell them it might not work out, and so they painted some paintings, they took them down there, and they sold stuff before I did at RetroCon. Like, it was great. Like, we set up, and my youngest son, he put his painting up, and the guy that was setting up next to us, and he's just like, "That's a really cool painting." And who made that? He said, "I did." And he goes, "You made that?" And he says, "Yeah." He says, "I want it. I don't care how much it costs. I want it. I'm taking it home with me." And I was like, that's awesome. And that, not just because they bought painting, but that's the I don't know how it's the mindset of RetroCon. Like, people are just nice there. Not that they're not at the other ones, but
right.
I've had such a great experience there every time I went, as a vendor and also as just being there. We used to go down and just be there for the day with the kids, and it's just a great convention. I can't say enough great things about them.
No, I completely understand. I mean, granted, it's only my friend and I. We only went that 1 year last year, and I kept telling myself I'm going to go this year. And unfortunately, the schedules for me anyway didn't line up, but they did last year. And it's funny because there's another convention in my neck of the woods. It's going on that same weekend as RetroCon, and I'm like, I want to hit both shows. I just want to go to both. I want to support them as best I can, and plus, I just like buying stuff from both conventions. They're great. I can't say no. It's the best thing. So it lined up great last year. It was a great experience. The only thing that bugged me was that I didn't buy enough stuff. It's I look at all these vendors and I'm thinking, man, if I had a duffel bag full of cash, if I hit the lottery, I'm paying, like, I'm going to buy all this stuff that I never had when I was a kid, or just unique things that I've seen through other vendors at other conventions. It's just amazing. Now, you say you have all these boxes. You take all these boxes of VHS tapes. You use the boxes of them to put together the notebooks, all that kind of stuff. Do you still watch movies on VHS? And if how many do you have in your personal collection?
So in my personal collection, man, I don't even know now. It's over 1,000, but
way more than this guy.
But I grew, the difference, I think, is that, like, I didn't just like say I'm gonna start collecting VHS tapes. You know what I mean? Like, I grew up with them, so I had a whole bunch when I was younger, and then slowly over the years I was like, oh, I want this or I want that, and bought them, and then it started to become more of a collection type of thing, and then you start hunting down, like, I want this specific one or I want that specific one. So, like, one of my all-time favorite movies is Master and Commander with Russell Crowe.
Oh yeah.
And I just love that movie because I like those books. That's based on a series of books called it's the Aubrey Maturin series by Patrick O'Brien, and the first book is called Master and Commander. And so the movie is based on the first 8 books of the series. So I knew I was going to like it before I watched it. But Russell Crowe does a great job bringing that character to life. And so I have like 9 copies of that on VHS, just because I have all the variant covers, I have all the variant tapes, I have all the second releases and stuff like that, just because it's one that I really like. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I might have 1,000 movies, but I have 9 of one. So, and I have some stuff that I probably shouldn't have, like Stop or My Mom Will Shoot, Crocodile Dundee 2, it's like, It's like, why do I have these? But I just can't get rid of them. It's part of that nostalgia.
Yeah,
Went to see Crocodile Dundee 2 with my dad in the movie theater when I was a kid. Like,
sure.
I'll never get rid of that one just because it reminds me of that day. And that's kind of what I think got us to where we are in terms of doing so well as a Spiral Rewind, is because I get to have these kind of conversations with people. Why do you like this movie? Why do you like that movie? Why doesn't anybody buy Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3? It's like, I know why, but we get to have that conversation.
Yeah,
You know?
I did have Turtles 3 at one time, and then once I
Yeah.
started upgrading certain movies to DVD and Blu-ray, I got rid of most of them. But then again, I still have a few over here, and I've bought a lot of VHS tapes. Most recently, last year and the year before, at conventions through different
Yeah.
vendors, because yes, I have them on better formats. Let's be honest, DVDs, Blu-rays, especially 4K now. We understand that those are the big formats, those are the big things, but nostalgia on a VHS tape, watching
Yeah.
those movies, watching the trailers that are featured on VHS tapes,
Yeah.
you get the vibes, you get those feelings, you get that nostalgia. And look, is Turtles 3 the best of the franchise? Absolutely not. But you know
Right.
what? I was there. I
Yeah.
grew up watching it,
That's right.
and I will say this to my dying days. Like, I think the Turtles is a trilogy. It's not just one or two movies. It's a
Right.
trilogy. There's the original 3 that I have on DVD, including the '06 animated film, which was called simply TMNT. I got that, but still, it's a part of our lives. It's a part of our childhood, and some of those things you just don't want to let go by the wayside. So I understand where you're coming from with that, 100%. That's a great collection, by the way. 1,000. I mean, I barely probably have like 50 over here. I mean, you're
Oh,
killing
okay.
me, man. You're killing
I'm
me with these
sorry.
numbers.
You know,
But
um,
but it's all good though. It's all fun.
oh man,
It
it's just
is.
good stuff. And there's movies I won't watch. I have, you know, everything's moving digital now,
Sure.
and stuff. So I have a media server here at the house,
Hmm.
and I have a lot of movies on there that are VHS rips of the movies. Like they're not even the Blu-ray of the movie. I have Army of Darkness,
Oh.
as a VHS rip. I will not watch it any other way. It's like that movie needs to be watched on VHS or in the movie theater. That's the only way that movie should be watched.
Oh my
And we
goodness.
just have a great time with it.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. So with Spiral Rewind, how long does it take to put together well, a couple of things here. How long does it take for you to put together a spiral notebook, a VHS lamp, or the other works of art that you have going on?
Right. So the notebooks are the easiest, obviously. We actually make those a lot of times while you're waiting at the show. So, I mean, there's a little bit of background work that has to happen to it. We got to cut the covers at home and stuff like that. But I can usually cut, anywhere between 2,500 and 3,000 a day if I have to of the covers,
Hmm.
to get them ready to make into notebooks. And then we have to punch the holes in them. And then as far as making the notebook, I have a couple here. Hold on.
Yeah, sure.
I can't reach. Okay. As far as making it, we make these while you wait.
Hmm.
So we have a lot made already at the show all over the table and stuff. But then somebody might say like, do you have Back to the Future? Do you have all three Back to the Futures? And we might we might only have the first one out on the table, because someone bought the other ones or something. So yeah, we have them. Get them out the back, make them quick, and then they're good to go. The lamps take a little bit longer just because there's a lot of mechanical work involved with that. We have to take the whole tape apart and then take the guts out, get rid of the magnetic tape, and then put the lights inside it, and then put it all back together, and then seal it and glue it and wire it and all that. So they used to take me, I don't know, 15 to 20 minutes to make one. Now I can do them in just under 6. So, but nobody can bother me if I need to do it in 6 minutes. So I was move out of the way. I got to do this. So we make a whole bunch of them up, and then we try to do those the same, At the shows, we put a bunch of them out on the table, and then we have a whole library of the artwork that goes on the front. So if we have Nightmare on Elm Street 1 and you want Nightmare on Elm Street 3 or something, we have it there. You can pick the different artwork out and we stick them on and go on your way. And then the paintings and stuff like that takes a lot longer. Some of those, they're actual paintings. So some of them take, I just did one up, it was a while ago now, but I donated one to a charity for autism, and they had like a charity auction. And so it was really neat. I got to go down there, and then they had, it was about maybe 10 or 12 of us there, and got to talk a little bit about art and things like that, and autism too. But we got to talk, about how it's influenced us, or how it's affected us, and how it's been a part of our lives and stuff like that. And it was really great. We had a great time at that, and people loved it. But that, I did that one, took me maybe 2 or 3 weeks to paint that painting for that show, because I painted it specifically for that show. It was like a gift that I gave them, but it was one that I hadn't started yet because I wanted it to be just for them, And so the other ones, if I'm getting ready to go to a show, like in a couple weeks, I try to, as mass produce as you can, hand painted things, so we paint all the backgrounds first, we paint all the grids, we do all the stuff, and then I'll show you a print here.
Yeah, sure.
That's cool. I have one of the prints here, this is just a print of it.
Oh,
but,
I see it now. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So we paint all the backgrounds and the grids and the stuff, and then we do that. Then I do the tapes, and we just paint them. And it has a whole series of those. I think there's 15 in the series now, just all different, color schemes and different feels and stuff to them, and stuff like that. And, the puzzles, those are the same thing. Those are a little different because, we can't just make a puzzle of any movie, with licensing and stuff like that. So,
that's true.
So we work, I'm actually working with a really awesome guy. He goes to RetroCon too. Mr. Lobo of Cinema Insomnia. I don't know if you saw him.
I've seen the name. I've seen the name come across my social media. I just haven't checked out the page in a while. It's been a hot minute.
So I do a lot of work for their show that they do. And I do some of the music and stuff for that, and just help out behind the scenes. And I do a lot of their merch for them. They have a card game out. I helped with that. They have a coloring book out. I helped with that stuff. And so he has a television show where he's a horror host. He's a host of movies.
Yes.
Okay. And so he's been helping me a lot with the licensing and stuff like that to get the puzzles going in the right direction. So we have a limited, offering, I guess, if you want to call that, for the puzzles and stuff, but we're slowly expanding it as much as we can as we get the different licenses and stuff. So it's been a very interesting road to go down. If you would have asked me 2 years ago if I'd be on the phone arguing with people about why they should let me make puzzles of their artwork, I would have said, you got to be out of your mind. But here we are.
No, and that's amazing. That's amazing what you've been able to do in these certain time frames, and also doing the charity work with autism. That's a great thing. I actually have worked, and still am to this day, I work with those on the autism spectrum, young adults more specifically. So for you to go out and do that for charity work, and with me kind of doing it as an actual a job and everything, it's great. It's absolutely incredible. Autism is a very, for me anyway, I'm not trying to make this a soapbox or a pedestal or anything, but when it comes to autism, I take it very seriously. That is a cause I support 100%, no matter if it's here in my own backyard or if I'm at a show. It doesn't matter. I try to support it as best I can.
Yeah. And one of the things that, like you said, I don't want to make it a soapbox type of a thing, but, it's widespread. And I think a lot of people don't realize that, like, I'm on the scale. You're probably, it's like we're all kind of on it, And so we only really ever gravitate to like those worst case scenarios, and And so it's really nice to just be able to be a part of it and talk about it and learn about it. Really, as I've had to learn a lot dealing with people and stuff more and more. Just learning. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, no, it's a
Yeah,
journey. You got to take, put one foot in
yeah,
front of the other, take it day by day, and a few steps at a time. Now,
yeah.
you're doing all these incredible things with Spiral Rewind, but I'm curious now. I know with the situation with the pandemic, Earth is kind of closed today, as Tony Stark says.
Right.
But what plans do you have for Spiral Rewind as you go into the next, into the future? The next, if someone brings up the question, where do you see your business or yourself in 5 years? Where do you see
Yeah.
Spiral Rewind going in 5 years? You got plans for it? What do you got?
Yeah. I mean, I would love to have the notebooks in the store. Where you could just buy like a 5-pack, on the shelf. I would love to have the puzzles in the stores. We're working on getting our official Amazon store up and running. I know it's, a lot of, I really have like, it's like both sides of it. It's like, nobody's ever like, yeah, sometimes I use a notebook. It's either like, I don't use notebooks ever. I don't want anything to do with them. Or it's like, I have so many notebooks. I don't even know what's in them all. It's never like, yeah, I use one every once in a while, And so, it's interesting that like the notebooks and then the journals, like I have a whole series of journals that I made with my own art on them. I think you saw the Tron ones and the stuff like that. And I'd love for that stuff to just be available. And so we're working on we were able to get Spiral Rewind listed as a brand on Amazon, which was a pretty big step that we had to take this year. We were able to do that earlier in the year. And, so we're going to be able to start to add product to Amazon as a brand and not just, as, hey, I'm a guy selling notebooks. That was a big thing for us. So I'm hoping that over the course of the next 2 or 3 years, we can actually make it, something that is more available than just at the shows.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we wish you the best of luck with that. 100%.
Thanks.
Hope it goes over well. All that kind of good stuff. Now to take a bit of a different approach here, a few different steps if you don't mind. Next question I have for you. If you had someone following you around all the time, what would you have them do?
Oh, they would play my theme song. Every good superhero needs a theme song. What's that from?
Oh man, see, this is the
I'm
weird
gonna
thing
get you, sucker.
Yeah.
Did you ever see I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker? It's all the people from In Living Color, the old television show.
Okay, all right.
They made that
Living
movie.
Color, I've seen. Yeah, I've seen bits and pieces of it. I haven't seen like the actual. I didn't know there was a movie based off of it.
Yeah, so it's called I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker, and
Okay.
and they're he's walking around trying to solve a crime, and he meets up with his idol, his guy that he looked up to his whole life, and every time the guy walks around the corner, you hear this music playing, and so they're walking down the street and they're talking, and the music, there's people blowing horns and stuff and everything, and then they pan back, and there's like a whole band following them down the street. He says, "Why do you got these people following you? Every good superhero needs a theme song."
All right.
So they would play my theme song. That's what they would do.
I gotcha. Now, if you were to die and come back to life as a person or a thing, what do you think it would be?
As a thing?
Yeah, if you could come back as a person or a thing, what do you think it would be?
I don't know. That's a rough one. As a thing. I want to come back. I'll pass. I'm going to come back. Let me think about that one.
No, that's cool. It's cool.
What's the next one?
No worries, man. No worries. Which words or phrases do you most overuse?
Well, that's a good question. I can tell you the ones my wife doesn't like.
If you want to take in that direction, feel free.
Those are probably the ones I overuse.
Oh,
No,
okay.
I quote the movie Birdcage a lot.
Ooh, I just saw that movie for the first time a few months ago.
I quote the movie out of context for no reason whatsoever. I'll just be at work, and I'm looking for something, and I'll just go Agador Spartacus like that, and just for no reason. I love that movie. That's just a really fun movie. I think they just had a blast making that. But so what I use most, overused most, I like to say the great George Carlin quote, think of how stupid the average person is and then realize half of them are dumber than that.
All right. I got it. Yeah, that's a good one. I'm not gonna lie. I've not heard that one before, but that's a good one. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. So.
Jeez, man. Well, before we come back to that question that we spoke about earlier, you said you had to think on it for a moment. I'll give you another moment for that.
Okay.
What do you consider the most overrated virtue?
A virtue?
Yeah, like they say patience is a virtue or so-and-so is a virtue. That kind of stuff.
An overrated virtue?
Yeah.
Overrated virtue. Man, you didn't tell me I had to think tonight. Let's see. Patience is a good virtue. You got to be patient.
Absolutely.
Anger is not a virtue, right? I guess it can be. The most overrated virtue.
Yeah, if you want to get creative with it, you can.
Yeah. How about the most overrated virtue is I don't even know if it's a thing, but like I really hate it when people say, if there's anything I can do, you just let me know. And it's like, I don't know what that is, but I always like to say to those people, well, good, I have to clean out my garage. Why don't you come over on Saturday morning and help me? And they're always like, that's not what I meant. I didn't actually want to do anything.
I gotcha. Have you had time to think about if you were to die and come back as a person or a thing? What do you think it would be?
So it'd be hard to say come back as a person because it would be somebody who hasn't been here yet. So, right. So I wouldn't want to come back as someone who's been here already because they'd be dead already.
Yeah.
So a thing, let's see. I would probably want to come back as an amusement park ride of some type. I don't know. A roller coaster seems too grandiose. So maybe just like the Whip It or the bumper cars or something. Just something people have fun on. That they forget about life for 20 seconds. That's one of the reasons I like being at the shows and talking to people like you. We got to stand there and we got to talk for a little bit and we got to remember things that make us happy. We got to, enjoy an interaction with each other that brought joy to our lives. And that's one of the things I really like doing the shows. I'll never, if I can help it, I will never stop doing the shows because as much as I like to do the shows because we sell product, I go to the shows because I like to talk to people and being at the shows and being set up gives me the opportunity to stand there and interact with people on a one-on-one basis and just talk about the things we like to talk about. And I don't have to worry about the context because we're at the show. We're in the context. This is the context. There's no excuses. It's like we can talk about whatever we want. And I've met so many cool people and I've met so many great people. And I met, I got this really awesome picture a couple of years ago at a show that a guy painted. And it's a silhouette of Gonzo and the chicken and his girlfriend, the chicken, from the Muppets. And it's just a silhouette of the two of them looking at each other. And I just thought it was the neatest picture. And it was in his take these away from me for $5. Like he didn't want them. That was just like his bin of stuff, at the end of the table. And I was flipping through it and I saw this picture. I was like, that's a really cool picture. And so I walked around a little bit and I came back and bought it. And he had him in there for $5. And I felt bad giving him $5 because I know what it takes to paint a picture, even if it's a practice one or, one that you're not planning to sell. It still costs that canvas it was on cost more than $5. And so I was like, you know what? I'm like, I'm going to give you $20 for this. I want you to have it, but I want this picture because I really like it. And the guy almost burst into tears. He was like, I was getting ready to go home tonight. Like, I've been doing so bad here and didn't feel like, I was really going to be doing anything here. And he's like, man, it's like, I'm so happy that you did that for me. You really made my day, and it wasn't so much that I was giving him the $20. It said I stood there and told him, I like what you're doing. And he was just like taken aback by that. And then he stayed the whole rest of the weekend and we became friends. It was one of those things. But that's what I really like doing about the shows. So if I had to come back as something, it would be something that does that for people. I don't know how else to say that. And the only thing I can think of tonight at 8:39 p.m. is an amusement park.
No, I got you. There's no problem with that. You can get creative with some of these questions as much as you want. So moving forward, as far as questions from the audience, feel free to drop them in, but I think we're going to kind of wrap things up here. So with that being said, Chris, what shows do you have coming up, or what projects do you have upcoming that you can tell us about?
Yeah, so we'll be at Monster Mania at the end of the month, Halloween weekend. And then, we have all of our shows that we're going to be at listed on our Facebook page and our website and stuff like that. But it's hard to tell right now because we don't know what's happening, so we try to keep updated on that and things. But as far as Spiral Rewind goes, we're just going to keep making what I think is cool stuff, and hopefully other people think it's cool too, and just enjoy making people happy. I don't know how else to say it. Got some music in the works. I have 2 films I'll be working on the scores for next year once production schedules get changed and fixed and switched around and stuff. So that's coming, and that'll be all under this now. It was separate before, but now we're just kind of consolidating everything. So, but yeah, I don't know. We're around. I try to be around as much as possible. How about you? I'm going to ask you some questions. What are you doing? Where are you going?
Well, we have the interview series here at Neuroculture. We got all kinds of videos up on our channel right now. We got new videos coming your way very, very soon. We drop new videos every week, whether it's the interview series, whether it's Battle of the Nerds, where we have 2 competitors go up against each other in a battle of trivia, and there are different topics. From every single week is a different topic, whether it's 90s movie quotes, whether it's SpongeBob SquarePants episodes, whether it's anything else that's in the nerd realm in between. That's what we do for right here. But before we go, Chris, where can everyone find you on social media?
SpiralRewind.com. That's the easiest place to go. We're on Facebook as Spiral Rewind. We're on Instagram as Spiral Rewind. We're on Twitter as Spiral Rewind. We're on Prodigy.net. We're on MySpace. We're on GeoCities, whatever. But we're on a Spiral Rewind. And you just reminded me, I totally forgot. We are supposed to be in December shooting 2 pilot episodes of a trivia show that we'll be producing and sponsoring as Spiral Rewind. So it'll be an 80s pop culture trivia show called Be Kind Rewind. And it's going to be, did you ever see Remote Control, the old game show on MTV? Google it.
Yeah, I'm going to have to Google it later. Unfortunately, it's not coming to mind.
That's all right. But yeah, I totally forgot about that. I'm going to get yelled at, I'm sure, if the right people see this for not plugging it. But yeah, we're supposed to shoot 2 pilot episodes of that in December, and it's going to be awesome.
That's great. That's great. Well, we want to take this opportunity to thank Chris Severn of Spiral Rewind for being with us tonight. Thank you so much. And in the meantime, make sure you like us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at It's Neuroculture. And by the way, some of those questions that were brought up earlier with Chris, people are wondering, where do those come from? Well, I want to let you know that this episode is powered by Poddex. Poddex are unique interview questions and episode starting prompts in the palm of your own hand. So whether you are a new podcaster or someone who's been doing it for a long time, you're looking to grow your audience or even get more engagement, you're going to want to check out poddex.com. Use code NERDCULTURE for 10% off your first order. Go to poddex.com. Make yourself an order, buy yourself some Poddex. Like I said, just use the code NERDCULTURE. You get 10% off your order. So in the meantime, enjoy the rest of your week, everybody. Once again, my name is Ryan of Nerd Culture. Follow us on social media. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. We'll see you next time. Have a good night, guys.
Have a good one.